All right, everyone, another day, another tale of real socialism, as it was termed by Salon and BuzzFeed and every other aficionado of alt-leftism years ago before it began to economically collapse into the dustbin. Socialism has created a wonderful situation in Venezuela. Their currency is now inflated by 40,000%. Yeah, that's true hyperinflation. It's not like, well, here we're talking about, the currency is 10% inflated or, something. It's like, who cares? Oh my God, yeah, the dollar lost 1/10 of a penny of value today. The world is ending. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, it's like they stopped importing their own currency. Their currency is almost not used in the country at this point because, when you need it's like when Yugoslavia towards the end was having its problems. They printed and I have one of these, I think it's a $100 million, 100 million Yugoslav whatever note. And basically a wheelbarrow of cash would buy you a loaf of bread. They have to print higher and higher denominators and stuff. Now Maduro's talking about manipulating the currency further and dropping those upper denominations and basically praying. It's not going to happen. Look, Salman comes out, or Saudi Arabia's ministry comes out and says, no, we're not necessarily going to raise oil output. It's still an option. Trump had said that Salman agreed to, which is code for I'm trying to get him to agree to by putting him out there into the news to put pressure on him, both here and there using diplomatic leverage. Because, of course, you'll remember, that was one of the first official state visits, and he seemed to get along with him okay. And Salman seems more get-along-able than past Saudi leaders, maybe. Just a little bit. They had their hands on that glowing orb there, and Trump was, grinning like he had just dominated the world. It's like, the dark crystal is mine. No. Venezuela's real socialism. At least if we go by the standards that were, talked about by Salon 5 years ago. They have an article from then, I analyzed it at the time. They said, oh, well, this is a model we should use here. It's so wonderful. Look at the quality of life is rising. Infant mortality is down. People have microwaves now. Oops, too bad we didn't diversify the economy. And I've always related, it's not just the socialism, it's also the centralization. Socialism, to a limited degree, can exist within a very decentralized system for certain purposes, and it can even have a positive impact. The problem is, when people see the positive impact of a little welfare or a little government centrality, they clamor for more, because they're like, wow, this is great, and the government always will seek to expand itself. It's innate. Governments and other power structures do. Corporations do this. We have anti-monopoly laws for a reason, because corporations will tend to grow like a cancerous tumor and begin engaging in corrupt activities to suppress actual competition, causing prices to rise, wages to decline, and the slow erosion of your economy. Why don't we do the same to government? The socialists want to throw away all constraints, or all illusions of constraint, I should say, in many systems, and just have full centrality. They need it. The more socialism you have, the more centrality you have to administer it. The problem is that then some fucking tin horn gets into the system and starts corrupting all the actual private businesses. You get nationalism of industry, and then things usually go kaput. That's what Maduro's done. He's nationalized a bunch of foreign-held properties. When people say, well, it's a CIA coup, the United States is trying to overthrow the rightfully elected socialists of Venezuela. No, actually, they're getting, basically embargoed and sanctioned because they nationalized a bunch of foreign-held capital. That is like some U.S. firm, they build a factory there, Maduro says, no, it's not yours anymore. Now it belongs to the country of Venezuela as a collective. You can understand why that would bother the United States government slightly. I don't think we need war. I don't think we need any direct involvement, but it's good to punish Maduro for being what he is, which is a dictator. At this point, he doesn't have any constraint. And that means if you're a dictator, you've got to take sole responsibility for your country's economic situation. Because at the very least, the advisors and the bureaucrats making all the decisions for you, you've put them in there. They govern at your whim. Well, if they do a bad job, then it's kind of your fault. You're the one that tolerates their presence continuous. So that's Maduro's own fault. But socialist paradise Venezuela, it's a workers' utopia. It's a workers' utopia because nobody has to work because there's no work to be done. When a factory's open 3 days a week and half that time doesn't have power, what are you going to do? You're going to mill around and, look for a cricket to eat. I would not be surprised if there are people that they're working poor, essentially. They fucking go forage for grass or bugs or something. There were tales of North Korea during their famine that they were making milkshakes out of grass and bark and, you know, straw and some other rudimentary materials just to have something in their stomach. Not very nutritious, although I suppose it has a few calories in it. Only a few. I can't imagine it was very tasty. Now, basically to prevent themselves from dying, hoping, you know, temporarily, at the very least, there's some caloric value. My stomach's not gnawing at me, so I can do some sort of work. Maybe I can go and you know, eat a cricket. I wouldn't be surprised if that's begun in Venezuela. When people break into a city zoo to butcher the animals and eat them, isn't that kind of the death knell of the stability of your country? There are riots and protests continuously now in Caracas. It's unending. I can just imagine. It probably sounds like Detroit at night. People have done Chicago at night sounds, and they'll put a microphone up anywhere in the city, and you hear random gunfire all over the place. That's probably about what Caracas sounds like. Some Venezuelan should set up a live broadcast from one of their favelas or something. Just aim the directional mic down into Venezuela proper. You know, there's several million people down there, although less now because a lot of them have fled. Aim your microphone down there so we can hear what it sounds like at night. I bet it's quite violent. I bet children have problems sleeping. And that's real socialism. It's also real tin horn dictatorship, oligarchism. It's not just socialism. There's a little bit of an element of bureaucratic plutocracy, if you'll have it, within that situation too. And now the currency was already worth less. Now it's worthless. There is no value to it. Toilet paper is worth more than the currency. The currency is worth more used as paper, as something to burn or wipe your ass with, than it is to try to use as a medium of exchange. The concept of currency is just, hey, we're using this as a stand-in for often perishable goods so that we can get things on short order more efficiently and in a standardized, fair system. That's the concept of a fiat currency. Some people think it has intrinsic value. No, not really. It's just an agreed-upon exchange medium. By the way, gold and silver and stuff are basically in that category as well. Paper has uses. You know, gold has uses too. You can, you know, electroplate things with it. Silver certainly has uses as a metal. You can gild things, use it in certain kinds of medical compounds, I suppose. A vaccine, I believe, aren't certain salts of it used for vaccines now instead of mercury? I thought that they did. I thought that they made a switch. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But yeah. Poor Venezuelans. And I feel sorry for them because, you know, they're on this continent under the Monroe Doctrine. It's sort of like, you know, hopefully things are stable here, but it's not stable in Venezuela. When Colombia looks like, you know, this is the symbol of stability within Latin America, it's like, you know, they just got done with the FARC rebels and stuff, and they're run by a populace. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Venezuela has so many problems despite being on a lake of oil. And if they pumped all the oil out, they'd be rich for the next 1,000 years. They can't even do that efficiently. Oil production is now down, which is why the prices are rising. That's about all. Peace out.